Sox fans, welcome to Good Guys Talk Back, a local fan-centric Chicago White Sox podcast, hosted by Nick Murawski and Pat Hester.
Yeah, hey Sox fans, welcome back to Good Guys Talk Back. Hey, it's episode 307. I am Nick Murawski. This is a fan-centric Chicago White Sox podcast, doing this every week on Sunday nights at 9:15 on the Good Guys Talk Back YouTube channel. Join us if you can. Jump in the comments. The audio available absolutely everywhere you find your podcasts. Nice weekend for the Sox. Some really eventful things since the last time we talked. Both on the field and off the field. Chopping it up with me, as always, my best friend, diehard Sox fan, Pat Hester. Hello, sir.
Nick, happy Sunday to you, and happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. Hope you enjoyed it. And it was a great day, beautiful day outside. Hope you spent some time out in the elements. It was a wonderful day, great day taking a ball game. Nancy Faust tickling the ivories today. Yes. I really wish I could have been there for that. So some cool stuff to talk about. We'll talk about maybe a very famous leader in the Catholic community that has caused some, slight controversy on his fandom. But before we go any further, I've been asked several times, and I keep forgetting each week, to give a shout out. I know we don't probably do a whole lot of shout outs to people, but I'm going to give a shout out to a very loyal listener. Doesn't tune in during the live stream, but does download every episode and listen. And not even a Sox fan, just because he's entertained by us. Oh, his name is Dustin. Dustin, I work with him. He's in the greater Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Wow.
Big Bo Jackson fan, even though growing up a Cardinals fan. And Dustin likes what we do. So the shout out to Dustin down in Dallas-Fort Worth.
Dustin, yes.
He's going to love that. He really, we talked quite a bit. I saw him last week. He really is enamored with meeting you. So at some point, we'll have to work this meeting out.
I love it. I am all kinds of excited for that. Well, thank you, Dustin. And thank you, Scott and Sydney and Craig joining us here on the live stream. So our White Sox, Pat, are 12-29, minus 35 run diff. Since the last time we talked, a rough series in Kansas City, then won a series at home, of course, against the Marlins. That's what we'll get to. Sox are last in the AL Central, ever forgiving AL Central, 14 games back now. The Sox have the second worst record in all of baseball, but Baltimore is not too far behind, believe it or not. Colorado, of course, in the cellar. Boy, are they. 7-33. They fired their manager today, Bud Black. That was enough for them. Took the Sox a little bit longer last year when they were the worst of all time to fire their manager, but Colorado acted, might not do much, as it didn't really do a ton record-wise when Grifol left, but Colorado making a change. Now, you want to compare things. Speaking of last year, Pat, I'm sure you've seen this and other folks listening have heard about it. So the Sox are now through 41 games. Okay. They are 12-29. Last year at this time, through 41 games, 12-29, Pat.
It's pretty similar, if not exactly the same.
One might say identical.
Eerily similar, but like we've talked about, it feels better. Is that fair?
I was about to ask you that. It's crazy. I have that right here. When any political situation, any election, whether it's local, municipal, at the state level, national, they're always asking voters, how has your life changed, since the last election, or has your life better or worse, since so-and-so came into office? And I guess we could say, how do you feel as a fan since last year at this time, 12-29? Do you feel better or worse, to the same? Does it not matter? You're saying it feels different. It's a
It
better
feels
12 and 29.
if you can feel a better 12 and 29, and maybe it's different because there hasn't been the 10 game or 22 plus game losing streak. Now, obviously that happened later on in the season for the White Sox last year. But there was that 10 game losing skid to begin the season, and we haven't had that yet. And I'll tell you, outside of the Chase My Draw, off the dome the other day to it.
Oh boy.
Wow.
Wow.
There hasn't been if I feel, and again, you'll have to forgive me because again, I'm not watching every single inning at this point, not subscribing to CHSN, but I'm consuming the best way I can, watching highlights, listening on the radio. It seems less embarrassing the way we're losing games. It's just, they're just seemingly run-of-the-mill losses. Again, excluding what happened the other day with the fly ball off the head. It seemed like there was more of that type of stuff with this White Sox team last year. And again, long losing streaks, mixed in, where it was like this team has zero chance if you can't even, defend your position. I don't know. That's the way I feel. Am I misguided? You're watching obviously a lot more of these games than I am.
I am. I'm watching regularly, and it's tough to put my finger on it. Some folks mentioned it in the chat, and I think we could probably speculate, but it does feel different. There's just a different vibe, a different energy. Yeah, the Mydroff thing. I mean, Andrew Vaughn base running, I believe it was in Kansas City. That was nuts. I don't know what he's doing or where the sends are coming from, why he's going on contact. He's definitely changed his game since Elko was announced, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But I feel better this year at 12 and 29. Mm-hmm. I know it really doesn't mean anything. Sox aren't going anywhere like they weren't going anywhere last year, but with getting a taste of the talent, some of the young kids that could play a role in what the Sox could build in the next several years, that's been exciting. Caro, we've talked about that. The Shane Smith thing is really interesting to me because he is just awesome. He is fun to watch. I mean, what a story. Easy guy to root for. And I wonder, is he a guy that the Sox could flip? Like, should I really get that excited about him? Or will the Sox see what they have, other teams clamoring to catch that lightning in a bottle this season in their playoff hopes? Could he potentially be gone?
That's an interesting thought, Nick. And at some point you have to keep talent, right?
Sure, of course.
You have to kind of plant your flag on a couple guys that you decide that you want to build around for the future. You can't be in rebuilding mode forever. Again, it's hard for you and I to say at this point because we really don't know, what Chris Getz's like real timeline is. Like, when are we going to be competitive? But if you start trading away, potentially, top of the rotation talent like that, you're really kind of, I don't know, going sideways a little bit. It's weird. I don't know the answer to that. I haven't thought about that, honestly, Nick, because the more of the thought obviously has been, flipping 88. But at this point, I guess anything is on the table. There are no untouchables on this team, right? So
that's what I kind of thought. And there are no untouchables right now. But I do, to what you said earlier, I 100% agree. And that was my big stink with Crochet. Sooner or later, you've got to resign pitching. You've got to hold on to pitching. You got to build around pitching. You can't just constantly be trading things away for, prospects and such, whatever you're going to get back. Now, there's been some chatter with 88, Luis Robert Jr. recently. I think Bob Nightingale had some stuff in the Sunday column with USA Today that the New York Mets are interested in Luis Robert Jr. and what the Sox might be willing to get from the Mets farm system. Anyway, that there's just more smoke now around Luis Robert Jr. because he's staying healthy and he's playing a little bit better. And I think people are recognizing, wow, okay, when this guy's healthy, he can track down the ball in center field like nobody else. He's got power, and also he's got wheels. Boy, has he got wheels, and he's demonstrating it. And we talked about it last week on the episode. You have to showcase yourself, Luis Robert Jr., because you're not going to get the attention from the wins. Now, the Sox got a ton of attention, because of the Pope, and we'll get to that. But Luis Robert Jr. has to generate a lot of that on his own by what he physically can do with his skills now that he's healthy.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of white smoke right now, right? Until it can be a lot of that. There's going to be teams calling. I don't really know. I was trying to look up really quickly, like, where do the Mets rank in their farm system? I guess that doesn't really matter because you're not looking at an entire system. You're looking at probably their top guys or several of their top guys, however they're ranked.
But I need some offense coming back.
Yeah, you got to
get some bats.
Because seemingly, again, even through the lean years, this team has been able to produce and bring in pitchers and develop them. That's something they actually have done better than the average team out there. They've been able to find pitchers and bring them in and develop them. So kudos to them for that. But, at some point you've got to identify, guys that are going to be able to hit 2, 3, 4, 5 in your lineup every day, can project them down the line and ultimately develop them and keep them healthy and have them produce for a long time. So I'm with you there, Nick, but there's going to be, as we continue on. I mean, it's only May. It's the middle of May right now. This won't heat up until we really get to. What's the trade deadline these days? Is it
August 1st?
July?
Yeah,
something
July
like
31st,
that. So
August 1st, something like that.
We've got a long wait. This will be a long thing. There'll be many.
But what happens if somebody has got a star player that goes down? A bat that goes down, and they realize the talent that they have around. They can't wait. They can't wait a couple months until the deadline. They have to just act. That could be a situation where they're out of desperation, right? Because they don't want to be at the table with a bunch of other teams. Yeah. I could see that being a case where Robert's gone earlier.
I think it might depend on where that team is at in the chase, right? Do they feel like they can tread water for a little bit? I mean, again, it is May. A lot can happen. There's going to be a lot of wins and losses between now and the trade deadline. Do you think, well, I'm gonna wait on this, but the longer you wait, that obviously the other teams know you have a need, and it's just going to drive up the price. It's an interesting conversation. I just don't see a lot of there's typically not a lot of action trade wise.
There isn't
in baseball, early on. So I think it would, if it did happen, it would kind of buck the trend, really. So
well, the rumor is that the Sox want to they want to move Luis Robert Jr. before Memorial Day. That's the rumor I'm hearing.
Wow, that would be pretty aggressive. That might be what they want to do, but I don't know if baseball
exactly
is going to comply with their needs.
Yeah, I agree with you. They might want one thing, which they do, and you have to have the partner that is willing to do that for whatever reason that comes about. So we'll stay tuned with that. Shane Smith, another solid week. He got the short end of it on Saturday. I pitched a heck of a game, man. He's just fun to watch, man. His stuff, he's got life on his stuff. He has found something. There's some confidence there. When he gets interviewed, it's almost like he's like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not saying it's the Jordan against the Trailblazers kind of shrug shoulder. Like he's not that lights out right now, but I think he's kind of like, I don't know. Something's just working right now. And I like it, and I'm on a heater, and why question it?
Yeah, I mean, it's those I'm in the zone type of things, right?
Yes.
In basketball terms, you just used it. It's the hoop, feels like it's a pool right now, and you're just shooting into a pool. It's got to be a wonderful feeling for him right now, and everything's working. It's going to be those moments when he doesn't have his best stuff, and he's got to grind, and that's going to be the hard part. So. That'll really show what kind of pitcher you are when you're, and it will be. You're not going to be as good as you were on opening day. Your body physically. It's how you're going to be able to overcome and react to those times when it's not going to be fantastic, and find ways to win games when you're not at your best.
Mm-hmm. You rarely have your best stuff as a starting pitcher. Even the really good guys rarely have their best. And Steve Stone made a comment, I think it was Saturday, I was watching, and he said the good pitchers force hitters, to swing at their pitch, meaning a pitcher's pitch, which is outside of the strike zone. The great pitchers are getting hitters to miss in the zone, meaning they just have plus stuff. Yeah. Now, I don't think Shane Smith's in that plus, but he is being very smart with what he has, and getting guys to chase on the fringe, play around with the strike zone, moving the eye level up and down. That's a good feeling when you trust your catcher too, and there is a relationship there. He's just having one of those moments.
Yeah. An interesting thing I like what Sam says in the chat, and feel free to chat us. Nick and I do love you. You may not notice it, but we like to read the chat and appreciate you that you do. But he says trade for and draft pitchers. That's what the front office is known for. Then sign big hitters once Jerry dies, which is a wonderful concept. But Jerry may live another 10 years, so I can't wait another 10 years to maybe sign people when the old man is gone. I get the point, but that's I'm in a little bit impatient, I guess, in that way. I don't want to wait another 10 years. If you and I are doing this show in 10 years and we are waiting for another hitter and trying to scratch more than 3 runs across in a game, boy, oh boy, we'll look back and think maybe we wasted our time, Nick.
It's never a waste. This is never a waste. These thousands of hours, not a waste at all. This is a joy. So I'm feeling better about this 12 and 29. And I don't know if it's masked with the whole 125 and we're rolling out all these fun promotions, and we're going to talk Nancy Faust in a little bit, and anything else, with the Burley statue coming up and the 05 anniversary year, 20th anniversary. I don't know if that's, is mixed into my feelings of feeling a little bit more optimistic about what's going on, but I think it's because a lot of the dead weight is gone.
100%.
And it just, and there's just a new energy with this team in the club, in the, the managerial world, the coaches, and in the players. Now, the offense is such a problem. There was improvement last time we talked, but boy, they took some steps backwards. Runs now 28th in the league. They're I mean, if you're watching, if you're listening, they're just not scoring. Slugging 30th, average 30th, on base percentage 28th, home runs 27th. I mean, there you go. Runners in scoring position, Sox hitting 201, slugging 310. That's 29th in all of the league. So again, when I say whatever you're trying to get back for Luis Robert Jr., I know not all of the problems are going to be taken care of with, the chips that come back, but you got to be focused on offense.
Yeah.
We need hitters. It was great to see what Elko did on Sunday, and boy, is it awesome to have him up, and I hope he gets consistent shots, but there's got to be more. There has to be more.
Yeah, you can't just depend on the one guy. I mean, there's got to be a balance in the lineup. There's got to be, balance, not just, in terms of production in the lineup. It's got to be balanced from a left-handed power and a right-handed power situation. That's what really did us in over the, the time in which we were supposed to be on a run, right, Nick? We were too right-handed heavy in the power department. And I never really believed in it too much. I remember Jesse Rogers always harping on it and saying, they're too right-handed heavy. They're too right-handed heavy. They've got to find left-handed power. And I thought, well, what's the difference? It's a good lineup. It's a lineup that's going to hit. what's the difference if it's a bunch of right-handers? And then, I was proven wrong. I mean, you've got to have guys from both sides of the plate. You're not going to have 7 lefties out there, but you got to have some of them, and you have to be able to, have a threat to put the ball over the fence once in a while. So, boy, oh boy, I hate to be, beggars can't be choosers, but can we find somebody with some left-handed power at the same time during this search for offense?
Yeah, a guy that we thought was going to have some pop when he was signed to the richest contract in history, Benintendi, he's back on the IL with some problems.
Things that don't shock me for 500 hours.
Yeah. So it's not happening there, and there's really no other spots. The offense is such an issue when you really dig into the numbers, and there's been some lopsided victories. What was there, a double-digit loss to the Royals, I think, this past week. We need the power. Speaking of power, we'll talk Pope and then Nancy Faust. I don't care if you don't have any type of religious affiliation, whatever denomination you may be, if you are religious. This is just fascinating to me. Just the mere the odds of this. So a new pope was elected after a pretty surprising conclave. I thought it was going to go on for a little bit longer. Came back with a vote. The odds of it being an American, there's never been an American pope. Mm-hmm. It's just so minute. And not only is the pope American, but the pope is from the South Side. He's from Dalton. He's got roots in Bronzeville. He studied in Hyde Park. He's a St. Rita grad. And there were these rumors that were initial, he's a Cubs fan. He's a South Sider, but he's a Cubs fan. And then WGN did an interview with his brother, who lives in New Lenox, for goodness sakes. Just Pope's brother living out in New Lenox, just hanging out. Mm-hmm. The Pope's brother says, I don't know where that rumor got started. He is absolutely a White Sox fan. And then we see photos of him at the World Series in 2005. And then there's a video that he was actually on the broadcast when the camera was panning the crowd. This is just unreal to me. I'm sorry. There is a very good chance, Pat, a real chance that the Pope is listening or has listened to Good Guys Talk Back.
Well, that would be something if he's on right now.
He's traveling all over the place. Okay. Yeah. He's got to kill time somehow.
Right.
He wants to stay connected to his team. There's a good chance.
There is a good chance. I wonder if he is on Twitter X. I mean, that'd be something we could. Do you slip into the Pope's DMs, Nick? Is that something you'd be willing to do? Just send him a little message. There's that a little bit forward. I think it is a really cool story. It's fascinating. I think now that, if people want to dog us sometimes for being White Sox fans, hey, we have presidents that are Sox fans and popes. That's who loves the White Sox. So you can stick
just crazy. Just absolutely crazy. I mean,
does the Pope throw out the first pitch at some point in a game?
Yeah, if the Sox get back to the World Series and the Pope is still around and is the Pope, you gotta try it.
So you have the Pope. He's always riding around the Pope mobile, the bulletproof glass. You have to set up some type of rectangular sphere from the pitcher's mound to the catcher, that he's in glass.
I don't know.
I mean, how do you you can't pull that off?
Yeah, you got to let Sox marketing handle that one, or PR, or whoever has to deal with that. Maybe Bossard has to get involved, but it's just fascinating. The odds, you would have never, if someone came to you and said, you want to bet this? You're like, no, I'm not going to bet that he's going to be American. I'll tell you that right now. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to bet that he's from Chicago or the South Side, or that he's even a Sox fan or knows the Sox or has been to a game. And all of those things, check. It's like, what? Yeah. My head just exploded this past week.
And you were able to break out your Pope costume, which
I did.
I found out before the hat. You own a Pope costume.
Yeah.
First of all, we know each other pretty well. Part of me is not surprised that you have a Pope costume. Sure. But I am partially surprised that you haven't told me that you wore it at some point.
Well, it was around the Halloween, All Saints Day type of. It's a school function, and it was an easy buy. You just go on Amazon, of course. That's where you get your Pope costumes, and I didn't rent, and it's for these reasons. Who would have known? That here we go. I'm going to need it because the Pope is a Sox fan.
Are you going to wear the Pope costume to your next White Sox game?
I saw that people are wearing them. I will not. I will not subject my wife and my 3-year-old for me walking around in a Pope costume. But my next game is going to be the 25th, which is a Sunday. It is the Charles Comiskey bobblehead giveaway, and it's also a Nancy Faust game.
Oh, look at you. And Nancy back in the ballpark today after, was it, how many years? Was it 11?
15 years.
15 years, way too long, by the way.
Yes.
I obviously wasn't at the game today and wasn't able to watch still to this point. But to hear her play na 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 hey hey goodbye after Elko's home run, I mean that just brings me the warm and fuzzies and brings me back to my youth and happier. Not that I'm not happy right now, but different happier days, different life.
Yeah.
And it's the way it should be, right? Let's make this right. You bring Nancy home, and we had the privilege at one point at our friend Eric, his wedding. He befriended. They're friends, like equals.
Like equals.
Nancy played at his cocktail hour at his wedding. I mean, wonderful woman, and extremely, extremely talented to this day. Love to have her back more than just on Sundays, but boy, what a fun experience. And it's not going to mean a whole lot for maybe the younger generation that didn't grow up with it like you and I did. And it's like, it's an organist. What's the big deal? The talent is off the charts. The ability to, play things on a dime. You tell her, you give her something, she figures it out in 2 seconds and she's playing it. How much fun she has with the team and with the opposing players and the music that goes with each. I mean, it's great. It's just great.
Yeah. Yeah. Eric Carlson, again, we've talked about him a lot, and his lovely wife, Rose. They're huge Sox fans of the podcast. Eric does our Gene Honda impression at the beginning of the podcast, the intro. And Eric has befriended Nancy Faust over the years and has gone out to Arizona and seen her. And Nancy and her wonderful husband, Joe, we got to talk to them during Eric's reception cocktail hour. Nancy's just awesome, humble, down to earth, such a joy, a talent. She's been playing all over the place since she left the Sox. And she is our quote of the week when we get there eventually, what she kind of had to say about coming back. But what an awesome idea. The whole logistics of where's she been, why hasn't she been with the Sox? I mean, there's a lot of rumors and things, and I think she has said, and things that she might want to keep private or whatever she wants to say publicly is up to her. But the year 125, celebrating the history, you have got to celebrate Nancy Faust. The fine folks that did the last Comiskey documentary did a wonderful job of highlighting that and what Nancy Faust has meant. You want to talk about Mother's Day? I mean, Nancy Faust, the mother of stadium organists. I mean, really a pioneer, bringing rock music in and kind of cutting edge, and her sense of humor. That story of when she would play a Madonna song when Jose Canseco was up because he was in the tabloids having a relationship with Madonna at the time. I mean, that type of stuff, I'll never forget as a Batman fan hearing the Batman theme when Robin Ventura would come up. That was just, man, you just had me. That was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, anything Batman, and you have Nick Murawski. Batman and Pope. I mean, that's it. And then you've got a Nick Murawski.
It's really true. So awesome that and Eric was at the game today.
Oh, he was at the game.
He was at the game.
100%.
And he and Rose, and they met up with Nancy and Joe, a good buddy of mine, Pat Reedy, friend of the podcast. He was at the game.
Pat.
Yeah, and
he's my exact equal, except better looking and more successful.
He brought his kids and his wonderful wife, and they got to get a picture with Nancy. I mean, it's so great. Will Hawk come back? Will Hawk and Wimpy do a telecast? And it was, as we're trying to roll out all the fan favorites.
A whole telecast. I don't see Hawk getting through a whole telecast.
Really? You don't think he can get through a whole game?
I don't know. I think maybe it's an interview type of situation at some point.
He's going to need more than an interview. He's going
to need like an inning. But he's not carrying a whole game in terms of.
I think if he had the right person next to him, if Wimpy did it, they might be able to. Just one game, a Sunday game with Nancy on the keys. Oh man,
I mean,
that would be something.
You're going to need to get a cigarette after that, if that's the case. I honestly don't know if he's got it in him at this point. I've seen him here or there, like on a couple interviews or what have you. And I don't know if things are great with him in management either. I don't think he's real thrilled about the way he was kind of told you retiring type of thing. It didn't seem like that really sat well with him.
Sure.
But we'll see. I don't know that
he's been back at the game though. He has made appearances. I really, they have to reach out to him, and they have to at least give him the opportunity, in this year. This would be pretty special.
Well, it would be better than what they currently have doing play-by-play on television. So I guess
Well, and that's why I don't think an interview would go well. You think he'd want to be interviewed by John Schriffen? Let me tell you something. And he would just take that mic and he would just elbow him out of the way. And he'd probably kick Stone out too. He's just like, I'm taking over.
Yeah, this is it. This is my booth.
This is it. And if I'm silent for 2 innings, I'm silent.
Yeah, that's how I'm going to deal with this. This is how I roll. I love it. I'd eat it up with a spoon, but
I know
it's been a while since I heard a good catfish hunter story. So yeah, bring it on.
Just because we're celebrating 125, and boy, it's so that is awesome. And I heard from so many people that were at the game today, and Nancy sounded wonderful. I was watching in and out, and just hearing that organ in the background. And then, when the Nana Hey Hey fired up when that pitcher got bounced, that gives you goosebumps.
Mm-hmm.
It just brings back so many memories. So it's awesome that she's going to be doing a bunch of Sunday games. And I'm looking forward to that May 25th. Now that Charles Comiskey bobblehead, that's a 7,500. So,
you got to be,
and it's a Nancy day. You're going to have to get there early.
Oh boy,
be an early one.
And you said it's on the 25th. You're going to be where are your seats at these days, Nick? Since they held your money hostage and made you get a 10-game package.
I am down the third base line. I think 154. So as you're kind of approaching the foul pole, I'm right over there. Good view. I like the concessions in the area.
What is in the area that's a go-to for you?
What is in the area? I mean, I do love the beef sandwich, but I'm a dog and grilled onions, and it's right there.
Okay.
They're right there. The helmet sundaes and that's my son's go-to. He loves a good helmet sundae with sprinkles. That's that's right there. So
how much does he get and how much do you get? I mean, do you allow him to have at least one spoonful?
No, he gets his own helmet sundae.
You go,
I get my own helmet sundae, just so we can have some fun with it. He gets his own helmet Sunday.
And then you pray that he doesn't finish his.
Well, that's always the gamble. Yeah. But he's been finishing it. So
well,
yeah,
that's disappointing.
Yeah. But he enjoys it. He loves a hot dog. He's up for that right now. And that's a good day at the ballpark. A Sunday, can't beat that.
Beautiful. I'm jealous of you.
Well,
I'll be at a travel baseball game.
Oh man, I'll be there one day. Right now, I'm just going to try to soak it up while I can, because I know what's coming. Hearing everybody in their travel schedules, it's exhausting.
There was a great joke, and I can't remember the comedian, but he is great, and I can't even tell the joke because I don't have.
This is off to a wonderful start.
Something to the effect of, I didn't know these children was such little talent, had the ability to travel for baseball so much. But anyway,
it's really turned into something. Yeah. It's turned into something that I'll wait on that. I'll try to avoid that as much as possible. But he really enjoyed the last game we were at, and he went. I would say when he was 3 months old, I took him to his first Sox game, and obviously that season we went to a bunch of games. Doesn't remember it. I hope he remembers it right now. He's 3 years old, but he still probably doesn't. I mean, we've got the photos and everything to jog the memory. Last year was kind of tough. And when he was 1 year old, it was still, we were only there for a short period of time. But he seemed to something switched when we went for the Dick Allen bobblehead. He seemed to really enjoy it, and he was able to stay and watch. He's like, he said to me, "Dad, I want to talk to them. Can I talk to the Sox players?" And I said, "Well, I mean, you could try to say things to them. They're not going to hear you, but we could try to schedule something where, you have an opportunity to talk with them." But his focus was, he was engaged more than I thought he was going to be. So
yeah, well, put a little piece of paper that says press in the side of his hat, see if we can get him on the field.
Yeah, it's a possibility. We'll see how this
future journalist in the works here. Beat reporter.
I'm going to try up to go and see Nancy, and bring him over there. So
beautiful.
Why not?
Beautiful.
Yeah. So you mentioned a gentleman that got to benefit from Nancy's playing, Tim Elko. It's a whirlwind for him right now. He got called up on Saturday. A lot of fans calling for him for a while now. He drafted by the Sox in the 10th round of the 2022 MLB draft. In 325 minor league games, he slashed 293, 348, 495 with 367 hits, 61 home runs, 58 doubles, and 218 ribbies. And he was there on Saturday, didn't do much, but got playing time right away at first base. And on Sunday, his first big league hit, and it was a go-ahead 3-run jack. The dude's got power. He's got the size. He absolutely can be a first baseman. And when Andrew Vaughn must have heard this, because he went off the last couple games. Home run, 2 home runs in 2 days. Had a couple big hits. I mean, he has been stepping up, but boy, I hope Tim Elko gets a bunch of playing time from here on out.
Well, he should. I mean, there's no reason not to give him the playing time. You'll find a way to get him in the lineup, however you got to do it, whether it's the DH or playing first, and you just kind of flip-flop those two guys depending on what you want to do. And I mean, why call him up if you're not going to play him? I mean, that would be very Pedro-esque, I think, right? That was something like Pedro would like to do. It's
absolutely.
Let's bring these guys up and then not find a way to like they have to earn.
Great point.
Their playing
that irritated me. Yeah.
How can you earn your playing time if you just got here? You get him in the lineup. It's like why even get them up here if you're planning on not using them or seeing what they can do? They are going to struggle. They're going to fail. They're coming up from AAA to the major leagues. I mean, for crying out loud. So yeah, Elko goes over in the first game. Not a surprise, but and also not a surprise that his first major league hit is a home run. So very cool. It's not going to, don't think that it's going to change the season by any means. But again, we're here. This season is all about watching the individuals, right? From a 10,000 foot view, it's me just watching. How did the team do? Was it good? Was it bad? What are the things I can kind of glean to and discuss on a Sunday night? But there's also that zoom in on that particular player, not really worried about, the results, but how did the results happen? Were there things that, is there talent there? Is there opportunity there? Is this guy going to have it sooner rather than later? So it's fun, right? And again, I was cautious about it when we talked about it earlier last week, I think, or the week before. Do you bring him up? And it's like, I don't know. I mean, do you really want to put him in this situation? But we talked at the beginning of the show, the vibe feels better than it did last year. I think if you bring him up last year to that team with that manager, I would have said keep him down in the minors. Maybe this is a good thing coming up, and who knows? We'll see. But exciting for us to be able to get a glimpse at him.
There's something about I think playing for a team that has low expectations, and you're young, of course. You don't know any better, right? And there's not a lot of guys around him that know any better. There aren't a lot of grizzled vets that were on winning teams and they signed a deal to come to the Sox, and they're kind of on the back nine of their career and just are kind of mailing it in, and things are tough. And you know what? I've made my money. I'm a 10-year vet. Like, it just doesn't have that feel. There's a lot of youth and a lot of energy and guys wanting to play for each other and play for a spot and kind of create some chemistry. That's what feels so different about this 12 and 29. I mean, I was looking forward to Saturday night's game. It was, this past Saturday, I knew it was a Tim Elko game. Shane Smith's on the hill. I was really looking for, I couldn't wait for first pitch.
Yeah.
That didn't happen last year in mid-May. I at that point you were like, boy, we got 4 more months of this. Gee.
Yeah, and again, it's not just Elko. I mean, it's the other guys, and you mentioned Shane Smith already, but it's the Cueros, it's the
my draw.
It's the my draws. Even though off the dome, I'll repeat it again because how does that happen? But
I mean, how does that happen? I don't know.
I mean, geez, Louise, man. But I mean, aside from that, there are some individual pieces that are worth at least paying attention to to enjoy their development. To kind of give yourself a chance to dream a little bit about, boy, if this came together, if this thing falls into place here, that thing falls into place there. I don't know. And then you do yourself the worst thing, which is give yourself a little bit of hope for the future. Yep. But what else can you do? I mean, I always I rage against the people that are like, they're guarded. Like, oh, I don't want to let myself get set up for disappointment again. That's what being a fan is all about. You're going to be set up for disappointment every year, most of the time. I mean, you're not winning the championship every year, even if you are a good team. So let yourself start to dream a little bit. That's part of being a fan. With it.
Just have, especially this year, I found myself getting really roped into the nostalgia and all the different promos and stuff with now Nancy and the events that are going to happen with Burley in July and the 05 team. I found myself getting excited again about Sox baseball, and I really dislike when I'm apathetic about things. I tend to have a stance. I tend to have some sort of an opinion about an issue, and I didn't like being so apathetic about the Sox last year. I did not. I hated that feeling, and I found myself being excited this past weekend. And I like that. I like being tuned in and really anticipating a Sox game.
Yeah, and I know for me, and I'm doing a very busy day today. Right, Mother's Day.
Yeah.
A lot of activities from very early in the morning until got back home. We were gone from our house from 7:00 this morning until about 5 at night, just going place to place here and there. And so again, not a lot of time to consume in any fashion the game. But I'm like, well, I'll check and see what the score is. And I see a White Sox winner and I give a fist pump. Like, what am I? It's a 12-win team. Why should I be excited?
It's true. It's just a reaction, though.
It's my reaction. It's what I care about. And then you see Elko's home run, and then I'm watching highlights. I'm interested. I'm hearing Nancy. I'm going on Twitter, and kind of like all that stuff that comes back, because I think we shoved all that in the corner last year. It was like I don't even want to look at the score. I don't even want to know how they lost today. What's the embarrassing thing that the White Sox organization did today? I mean, I would imagine those fans are still out there. You tell me, you've been to probably more games than I have. I mean, it was the sell the team chants all the time, right? I don't know that you're going to get that this year, because it's kind of like, all right, these are young kids. This is, I mean, the frustration is always going to be at the front office, but I think a lot of the frustration last year too was with the talent that we thought would produce for us eventually, that was always broken down and had zero effort. That got us to our breaking point of sell the team chance, I think.
Let's go back to what we talked about at the very beginning. The Colorado Rockies, 7-33, they've had enough with Bud Black, their manager. And they issued a statement saying, our fans deserve better. Now, they know that not much is going to probably change. It's the players are the players. What type of team you cobbled together. I do believe there is something about the manager and the coaching staff and the attitude that they can drum up with their players, but obviously you can only do so much. But it was more of the principle to me last year of, this guy is not the guy, Pedro Grifol.
Yeah.
And this is historically bad. Okay, he's not getting any energy from his players, from his team. He's saying the same things. He sounds irritated. He seems lost. He just seems way over his head. Just get him out of there. Change something up. Okay, like, listen to us. And they didn't, not until August, when things were so bad, so far gone. And then it seemed like you had a little bit of a bump when baseball manager came in, Sizemore. He comes
baseball,
in.
just baseball man. He had no title before he was named the manager of the team. You look in the media guide, it just said coach.
Yeah, coach, MLB coach.
What? I don't know, but he's just
MLB
coach.
Just coach. So I get that. That's what I'm saying is, I didn't like almost the apathy from the organization, from the front office. We know we're bad. We're just going to let this thing ride. We don't care about you. And when fans don't feel like they're listened to, appreciated, that's where all of the sell the team stuff came from. Now, if you're chanting sell the team right now, I completely agree. That's fine. I don't see a problem with that, because they're still bad. And I'm still worried about their direction, and Jerry is still in charge, but there is a different feeling in my mind. Not that it's producing wins, but there's a different feeling.
Right. And I agree with you there about the feeling. I just looked real quick, and, now that we're, again, exactly where we were last year at this point at 12-29. I don't know if this has changed, because I'm not a gambler. But at the beginning of the year, I think they started at a 53.5 in terms of win total. If you have, dollars burning holes in your pockets right now, Nick, and you had to put money down, are you going over that number at this point, knowing that they are exactly where they were at this point last year? Is 53.5 wins doable?
That's a good question. I would go over.
Because of the feeling, probably because you have the feeling, right? I mean, realistically,
they look like a different team. Again, it's difficult when I just spouted out some horrible offensive numbers. Okay, we know what the record is. We know the division that they're in. We know that is going to get exhausting, and there's going to be more injuries, and they're not going to be able to probably. I don't know if Shane Smith sustains what he does. Even knowing all that, I would say over at this point. Not by much, maybe 54, 55, but
it's over.
Again,
over is over. It doesn't have to be
over.
Yeah. 53 and a half is 53 and a half. I don't know that I would do that. I think the right bet, the logical bet would still be to bet the under on this team based on
I'll tell you
win.
this.
And even though I feel better, if
make that bet.
Possible.
Make that bet, and we'll put a round of golf on the line.
Are we betting right now live on this show, you and I?
I'm ready.
We've done a lot of bets with each other. Usually it's pizzas. Now you're talking about rounds of golf.
I'm putting a round of golf. Your choice, what golf course we go to, not Dub's Dread, a reasonable course, and it's my treat. Both of us are going. If they're under, it's my treat.
Well, I have to say yes now because people are going to call me out on this show. I mean, you've really backed me in the corner. Okay, I'll say right here.
You know what? I'm sorry if that was unfair. You think about it and you come back to me. No, I don't
have to think about it. I'll throw my marbles on the table and just say, "Let's do it, baby boy." The worst case scenario. I mean, the end to come, and it's going to be past the golf season probably anyway, and then you'll forget about it, and then it'll never pay up as it is.
Well, it's still going to be warm in October. And I might even sweeten the deal. If they're under 53 and a half, I'll wear my Pope hat during the round.
To play golf in. You have to play 18 holes in your Pope hat.
My Pope hat.
All right. You're on, sir.
All right.
Now you have to be rooting against my favorite team, but that's okay. This is
but we're going to be golfing together either way. So that
is a plus. That's a plus. By the way, I'll tell you my story off there of the most amazing birdie putt I made this past week in Florida.
That's right.
It was almost unbelievable. Even the caddy said he's never seen a shot like this. But that's not why people are listening to this right now, Nick.
Oh boy, you're getting in mid-season form. Okay.
Oh, a 93 and a 94 on a challenging courses. I mean, that's pretty good.
Wow, good for you, Pat. That's a real feel-good story.
For me, that's amazing. So
you're
I digress. Not that good for me.
You're getting ready for Eagle Ridge. You're Eagle Ridge ready right now. Wow.
Yes, I would say so.
Okay. Before we get to the quote of the week, so the Sox are on the road this coming week, Cincinnati, and then the North Side against the Cubs next weekend. You and I have been to Wrigley Field for Sox Cubs games. We've been there together. We've been there separately. It used to mean there was a lot of hatred. There still is, but there is, for me, maybe it's the age, maybe it's whatever. It's definitely died down, but it used to be just brutal, man. I mean, when both teams were pretty bad, and either of us didn't have any success. And then once the Cubs got to the NL championship and the whole Bartman thing in 2003, I think it really ramped up. And then when the Sox won in 2005, it really ramped up then. There was a lot of chips on shoulders. And I haven't been to Wrigley to see a Cubs Sox since maybe 2017. I think I went with Kramer. Kramer had tickets, and the Sox just got pounded, absolutely pounded. It was embarrassing. I want the Sox to destroy the Cubs, but it doesn't have as much. I'm not as emotionally invested, I guess, as I used to be. How are you feeling about this crosstown, dust up once again here this year?
For me, I mean, it used to be like edge your seat, pins and needles type of viewing, right? And usually those games delivered. I mean, one way or another, there's been, if you go back and watch some of the highlights over the years of this rivalry, and I'll call it a rivalry, regardless of what people want to determine.
Yeah, I think it
not
is
a rivalry. I'll say it is. There's been some fantastic moments, some fantastic come from behinds, walk-offs of all sorts, grand slams, amazing things. But when you're the nail and not the hammer in this situation, it's kind of hard to be a little chesty and walk around, feeling like you have an opportunity when the team that you're facing is by all means going to win their division, go to the playoffs, or they're really good baseball. I don't think they're a great baseball team, but they're a good baseball team. So I'm not going to, it doesn't feel the same as when I was young. I'll just put it that way. And maybe that's just being young and dumb and you want to fight everything that isn't your team. And, you probably, alcohol has a lot to do with your emotions and getting,
I would say, yeah.
And, wanting to kill people for saying bad things about your stadium. I mean, those are ridiculous
Which
things.
I did. I honestly was on a warpath years ago. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you and I both. I mean, we were the bushwhackers of White Sox fans, just looking to beat up people. Not that we ever did, but would have liked to.
We were on the defense, man. Somebody said something bad about the Sox or the stadium or our side of town. We snapped back, man. We were in defense.
Well, so to your point, no, I don't feel the same, and I think maybe maturity, age has a lot to do with that. So would I love them to win a series on the north side? Absolutely, and nothing would make me feel better. And I'll, if it comes down to the end of the year and I lose this bet to you because of the couple of games we beat and meaninglessly games and against the Cubs, that's fine. I'll pay the bet. I'll be happy about it. And I'll, I'll be rubbing in people's faces that I know that are Cubs fans, but it just doesn't have the same feeling. And maybe it does for younger fans. I don't know. But it doesn't feel that way to me anymore.
I think what you said about, the Cubs being an inferior team to us, for sure. I feel like we could play, the sleeper. We could play the spoiler and ruin a weekend for them. And I love that. I absolutely love that. If we lose, it's like, well, we're built to lose. But if we win, it's like, you let us beat you in your home. I would love that as a Sox fan.
Yeah.
And just get that right into their side. That would feel good to me. Especially because they're off to a fairly decent start. That would matter to me. So,
well,
maybe I'm more emotionally invested than I thought I was.
Now you're getting all riled up. You're going to show up to that game and you're going to Wrigley in your Pope costume. I can feel it already.
If someone offered me tickets, I might think about it.
Well, I might be the person to offer you tickets. You never know.
Oh boy. Well, we could talk about that off air, but that would be, yeah. I mean, I'll be watching, and it'll obviously be something we talk about next Sunday. But yeah, it kind of snuck up on me this year. Here it is this weekend, and I don't have any plans to go to Cubs Sox when they're on the South Side, but again, that was a must see.
Oh yeah,
years ago. You circled that day. You were always getting tickets for that.
Yeah, and again, I've told this story on this show before, but I still remember when they started doing interleague play, and you had to go to Ticketmaster in the mall to wait in line for a lottery to buy tickets to that game. I mean, that's what you did, and you felt like you won the lottery when you walked out of there with.
Yeah.
At someone of my daughter's age now, that she would probably look at me like I'm a dinosaur, but
yeah,
probably because I am.
We are going to get to the quote of the week here, but I want to thank everybody for jumping in the comments. It's been an absolute blast. for you to wrap up your holiday weekend with us on the Good Guys Talk Back YouTube channel. Like the channel, subscribe, pass it along to other Sox fans in your life. Do appreciate that. The audio available wherever you find your podcasts. We're on Twitter X at Good Guys TB. Here is your quote the week from the wonderful, the talented, the legendary Nancy Faust, who returned to Sox Park after a 15-year absence. Feels like old times. It's wonderful, said Faust, taking a brief break before the national anthem. I've seen a lot of familiar faces. I couldn't be more excited. What a special Mother's Day this is. Things had changed musically, and my role was somewhat diminished, said Faust of her departure. But since then, I'm aware of what's going on at other ballparks, and I think the role of the organist is somewhat highlighted again, end quote. That left me feeling a little excited, like maybe this isn't just going to be a 4 or 5 thing. Maybe this could be something a little bit more consistent, perhaps.
Oh, well, let's here's hoping, because more Nancy, more better, in my opinion.
Yeah, it brings such a special feel to the ballpark. So great to have her back. Looking forward to getting there and seeing her May 25th. Pat, always a pleasure, buddy. I feel so much better talking to you.
Every week, buddy. Let's do it again next Sunday at 9:15, say.
Sounds perfect. Once again, happy Mother's Day to everybody out there. Thank you so much for being with us. For Pat Hester, I am Nick Murawski. Until next time, go Sox.